Hello everyone, welcome back to another reaction video, and today we have a bit of a different one. We are back with Eklls for the first time in a little while. We have the death of the British night out. Now, I've not been on a night out properly in a little while, so I would agree, night outs are dying. People aren't going on them anymore. People prefer to stay in. Everything's too expensive. So let's find out why. Eklls, take us away.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a crisis.
Weird intro.
The once great tradition of putting way too much VO5 paste in your
Never
hair
did that.
and drinking various bottles of colourful
Did do that.
diabetes
Yeah.
in a converted 1970s leisure centre
Yeah.
is rapidly becoming a thing of the past.
It
The
is?
UK is losing an average of 3 nightclubs every week. We've lost
Oh,
800
shit.
in the last 5 years alone. If that trend continues,
That's quite
there will
mental.
be no more nightclubs by 2029. When will we be expected to see Bevo perform then? Won't someone please think of Bevo? And obviously, look, I'm over the age of 25, so people on the internet will tell me that I'm too old for this. They will call me names like Unk and Chot.
Yeah.
They will say that I should have a
Yeah.
wife, I should have 2 children, a mortgage, and a £6,000 sofa on finance.
Yeah.
They'll say I'm too ancient to be concerning myself with the fact that there's only one prison left in this country, and it is the ugliest possible one. But
There can't be. What? Kingston still exists, no? Prism Kingston? Or is that the only one left? That can't be the only one left.
as we'll see, I think this issue is more important than it looks on the surface. And look, I get it. Sometimes you don't want the end of your night to look like this. And let's be fair,
Yeah.
a lot of the smaller city nightclubs aren't exactly oozing of class. Need I mention the infamous Jester's Southampton 4 Corners Challenge, where you need to do 4 unique acts of debauchery?
Oh, I have heard about this. Yeah, I'm not going to say it on this, but it's fucking grim.
The Four Corners Challenge. Over the course of a club night.
Is it going to say it? Yeah, there we go.
Jizz.
No
Yeah.
fucking way.
There are even
It's
stories
fucking
of club nights in
vile.
the mid-2000s where drinks were free for everyone until the first person goes to the toilet. But it's causing around 20,000 jobs to be lost every year, and it pains me to see World Heritage sites such as Cameo Eastbourne on sale on Rightmove for actually quite a good price.
not that
It even
bad.
comes with a boxing machine. It's a lovely doer-upper, I think they call it on Homes Under the Hammer. Anyway,
Yeah.
I've done a bit of digging to find out what's causing nightlife to die in this country. And to be fair, it's actually pretty interesting. Let's get into it. The first big thing is that
I'm
the
actually really
kids
excited for
apparently
this.
just aren't drinking as much as they used to back in my day. Which
Well, no,
wasn't
they're
even-
not, because again, everything is just way too expensive. So I don't blame them at all. You go out in London, especially in London, you go out in London and a rum and coke is like 15 quid. It's like, well, no, it shouldn't be.
And that
It's
lot of them are
ridiculous.
literally 27. Anyway, there's been a lot of chat over the last few years showing that, for example, up to 60% of Gen Z claim they do not drink alcohol at all.
People are just a lot
Although
healthier
Gen
now
Z
as well,
drink 20%
realistically, right?
less than millennials did at the same age. But I don't think it's as simple as that, and it sort of just feels outdated. All of these Gen Z stats just feel like random PowerPoint slides middle-aged people in businesses use to make other middle-aged people in businesses think they know what's cool. Like, there's no
True.
way that
Facts.
60% of Gen Z are sober like that article claims.
No,
Someone is lying.
I genuinely, I'm not surprised if that is true. People don't drink anymore.
There. The fucking local university hockey team that was in the pub last night definitely weren't sober. I can tell you that. One of them was eating a meal deal pasta with his hands. Gen
Hell
Z
yeah.
actually are starting to drink more now, to the point where it is pretty much the same as other
Oh,
generations.
fair.
It's not that younger people will never drink. It's just that they're waiting a bit longer to start drinking. They get to 18, listen to Stephen Bartlett and Chris Williamson bang on about high performance and waking up at 5 a.m. for a year or two, realise that's the most fucking miserable way to waste your youth, and then go and
Not
get
wrong.
there. See, back in my day, you would just randomly wake up on your 16th birthday and a load of Smirnoff Ice would have just spawned underneath your bed alongside someone's older brother's provisional license. And you were off
I never
to the
used a
races,
provisional.
you drink
I never
at
used someone
Heartbreak,
else's
you
license.
drink at the bus stop, you drink in your mate's kitchen. It was literally all there was to do, apart from running up a massive bill on your mum's
I mean,
credit
that's also not wrong, to be fair. There is obviously just so much more you can do nowadays, just in general. When I was 15, we had Xbox, we had PlayStation, obviously everything like that, but there weren't that many games out. So 9 times out of 10, well, not 9 times out of 10, but you would go out with friends and you'd go get pissed in the park or whatever. That was genuinely like a pastime. That's what you do. That was a hobby. It's mental.
on Ultimate Team or wrapping your
At
Xbox
15?
360 in a towel. I think a lot of it also probably comes from COVID disrupting this crucial period.
Probably
of your life
correct
where
as
you
well,
normally
yes.
be getting your reps in on WKDs, training to make your big nightclub debut at 18 on the hallowed turf of Pop World. But
I turned 18 in Magaluf. In Magaluf. I was at a BCM. What was it? Was it? There was a DJ called something like Sigma or something along those lines. I can't remember what it was now. It wasn't Sigala. It was like it genuine. I'm sure it was something like Sigma. I turned 18 at their DJ set in Magaluf. 12th of July, 2015. Horrible time to be alive.
half a generation missed out on that around the time of lockdown.
God, that
Which
was 11
I
years
guess
ago.
in many ways is actually a good thing. I am not
Right,
advocating
Unc.
for children to drink more. I would actually like to continue to get sponsors. But to summarise, it's not necessarily that young people are giving up on drinking forever and that nobody will ever drink again. It's just that people are waiting until late to start when they're forced into the depressing reality of having an actual job with spreadsheets and
Hey, don't diss spreadsheets.
shareholder value. Which,
The rest
look,
can
I'll be
get
honest,
fucked,
I
but
have
don't diss
no
spreads-
idea about. Thanks largely to
Don't
Little
diss
T. My friend
spreadsheets.
San says it's pretty rubbish.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
There's also the element of social shame at play for younger people, where 18-year-olds 10 years ago or so could pretty much just go out, get rejected by every girl in Casper Coventry, and then wake up the next day as if nothing happened. But then stuff like the nightclub photographers happened. All
Oh,
those weirdos
yeah.
that film girls on nights out in Manchester. And just
Yeah.
smartphones with half-decent cameras in general. Like, no way are you getting embarrassing footage of someone in a low-light nightclub shot on an iPhone 3GS.
He's not
But look,
wrong.
It's obviously not just teenagers and young people that go to clubs. Other people must be skipping out on them too, otherwise less of them would be dying. There always used to be like a sort of older facing club in every town with a name like Rosie's or Kelsey's or something that carried a very distinct charming smell of Jaeger and divorce.
Yeah.
But now they're gone, which brings me on to my second reason. Things are just really expensive nowadays. Look, I'm not Martin Lewis, but things are just mental. Apparently the average 25 to 34-year-old budget's £310 for a night out, which I find
310 quid for a night out. Are you joking? Bro, I don't spend anywhere near that much. Let me put it that way. Meg and I actually spoke about it the other day, though. We had to do our taxes, and we were just talking. We were obviously going through how much we've spent this year. And the amount of it that was on alcohol is mental, but I've not spent 310 quid on a night out, ever. Jesus
very
Christ.
fucking hard to believe, but to put that into perspective, the average person earns £728 a week, and that £310 does seem like a lot, but because regional nightclubs are the first to die, people need to travel further for a night out. So that's about, 20 or 30 pound for
fair.
an Uber, another 20 or 30 pound for an Uber back, or a travel lodge, which is about 70 quid for a glorified Scandinavian prison cell with the thinnest walls on the planet, plus about a tenner for every highly watered down vodka Red Bull, an extra couple hundred
Yeah.
if you want the benefit of sitting down, and a bottle of AU vodka with some very cool sparklers in, and the
Fucking
remainder split
horror.
between illegal substances or Gaviscon.
Never
I
do
am
those.
firmly a
Genuinely.
Gaviscon man. I know every generation has its own very significant problems. I'm sure war wasn't much fun, and I bet things were
Probably,
really boring
yeah.
until they invented
Yeah, it's
smart
fair.
fridges and AI tumble dryers. But I think it says a lot that people used to only take loans for a house or a business, and now you can Klarna a kebab. But it's not just expensive for us.
No, you can't. That's a joke, right? Klarna a kebab. Yes, it is possible to use Klarna to pay for a kebab.
The customers. It's a nightmare for clubs to stay alive financially too. And look, I know nobody is tuning into
Okay.
Eklls for economic updates, or I at least hope you're not. So I'll try and make this as quick and as least boring as possible by putting some fun images behind me.
Thanks,
Half of
man.
all UK nightclubs will see their business rates go up another 50%. Alcohol duty has gone up 3.6% this year. Energy prices for businesses continue to go through the roof, and the hospitality industry pays £1.9 billion in labour costs. It's like a chicken and egg situation where people can't afford to go, and clubs also need to up their prices to make up for this. So with everything so far in mind, hopefully you can see that people now have to wait until they've got like adult job money to go out. And even then, it's not really enough. 88% of nightclubs.
It's also just not worth it either, though.
For dying, with people basically saying we can't raise prices forever. So as well as just drinking at home, people are looking at other ways to spend their time. Which brings us to the
just get yourself down to a fucking get yourself a big speaker, get yourself down to a field, bring an aux cable, chuck the phone in the aux cable, play some music, and drink with your mates until the police come and shut it down. It's a great time to be alive. If you've never had a field party, if you've never been to your local, I don't know, park or bowl or whatever it is, and you've not had a good night that's just been ended by the police at about 1 o'clock because you're being too rowdy, you've not lived yet. I wholeheartedly believe this. Go and have yourself a field party. You'll thank me. Get some tinnies. You'll have a great time.
Everyone is getting wham nowadays. As of 2025, there are 11.5 million gym members, the highest it's ever been.
Hey, I'm one of them.
6 people in the country, which is actually pretty.
I haven't been for a while.
Consider loads of people are babies or geriatrics. Everyone's just desperate to get massive so they can, like, I don't know, really just smash the keys on their keyboards harder or something.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Fitness focused. In just 1 year, 75% more of us are actively eating more protein, which isn't hard because it's just being snuck into literally everything. You get like a protein Muller corner or a protein water, whatever that means. In my opinion, the worst of the lot is the Dubai chocolate protein.
Oh fuck! I've had enough of hearing about Dubai chocolate. It's fucking wank. Get it rid. Don't want to hear it anymore.
What kind of person do you need to be to buy that? Anyway, look, obviously there's a fair amount of debate as to whether eating copious amounts of ground up mystery powder is actually more healthy for us. But the point is that by changing our habits, working out more and trying to look after our bodies, we're starting to realize that there might just be more to life than queuing for 45 minutes next to these guys, only to get turned away by this guy because you don't fit the carefully curated vibe of Ball in Maidstone, or because your provisional license is 2 months out of date because you're too old. Middle Gen Z and younger millennials are all getting into the most boring activity of them all, running, with the number of London marathons.
I like running, but yeah, I do agree.
Point for 2026, and the number of run clubs quadrupling in 2025.
Jesus.
Me personally, I can't imagine wanting to meet sweaty strangers in a park at 7
I do think the biggest catalyst for it all is COVID, to be fair. He raises a very good point.
Dates, which, to be fair, is probably actually better for you than just badly miming the words to Mr. Brightside in a girl's face at 2 a.m.
Hey, no, don't diss that.
Hand, as well as the next generation.
That's my favourite part time.
Alpha males are focused on personal development, albeit in a slightly different way. They're locking in and looks maxing. They've got no interest in going out on the pool. They're on the push. They're staying in, grinding. They're all about semen retention and the 48 laws of power.
Sorry, what the fuck?
Isolation, focusing on nondescript goals, monk mode, and smashing their cheekbones. You know, all the healthy stuff that doesn't lend itself to being out.
I still don't really understand what looks maxing is. I'll be completely honest. I see a lot about it on TikTok still, and I don't get what they mean, and I don't care enough to look it up either. So I'm in a bit of a catch-22, you know?
Outside after 9 p.m. or at all, really. And look, I know it would be misleading to say they're so unbelievably healthy when they're pretty much entirely responsible for keeping vape shops in business and coined the term brain rot. They're just using different vices not associated with meeting other people. But the thing is, things always change over time, whether it's the economy, the government, COVID, or just things coming and going in cycles. Right now, nightclubs are dying, but there was a time before Cameo Eastbourne. It all started in the 1920s, around 92 BC. When
what the fuck is going on?
Buy alcohol late at night. So people would get around it by basically pre-ordering bottles to be delivered to smoky basements later that evening. They cost about 21 shillings to get in, which is about £1 in today's money, but probably enough for a house deposit back then.
Yeah.
You have people like Kate Merrick making a fortune running these places, racking up £500,000 over the course of her career, which is about £40 million in today's money. Probably enough for a house deposit deposit now. But the police kept shutting them
Nice.
down. Kate went to prison 5 times. Eventually, clubs were allowed to open
5
later. And by the
times.
50s, people lost interest in sitting in dusty cellars and chatting with fellow reprobates. They started wearing suits and ties and moving to ballrooms with live music. The live music shortly got replaced by a DJ, but like one with actual turntables instead of just a trust fund and a USB-C. The 1970s come around and people are less interested in dressing formally and being fancy, and it all becomes a bit more casual.
It's
Drums
disco,
come in,
baby.
Music changes, and all this naturally devolves into the classic messy, sticky carpet, Love Islander appearance, chili sauce fueled, free pizza. On a
I'm
Wednesday.
very, very, very proud of myself that I've never been somewhere that's had like a celebrity appearance at their club. The one, to be fair, that did, well, it wasn't really the one, but I was in Miami and I was staying at a hostel and I randomly went to this night out that the hostel were throwing, and it was at a club and DJ Khaled was playing there, and I didn't realize until I turned around and he was like there in my face performing. That was kind of cool. But I've not been to one where Cal the Dragon is having a little sing along, or as mentioned earlier, Bevo. So I'm very, very proud of myself for that. You know,
Bevo
very proud of
toast
myself. And again,
screaming crowd nonsense we have today. But before all of this, before any form of nightclub, people did other things. They'd quietly watch live music in halls, or they'd weirdly recreate photographs by just standing still. So maybe nightclubs are dying partially because of the economy, and partially because of the later drinking age, and partially because of a pivot to a healthier lifestyle.
Sure.
Also because we're just continuing to move on like we always have done throughout time. There needs to be other options for third spaces for all of us to go to that, you know, don't smell like Sambuca and armpits.
Oh, fuck
So what's the
Sambuca.
solution to all of this?
Ugh.
With all that said, it's still a shame to see nightclubs die, as there's a lot of jobs on the line and a lot of culture that may get lost. And let's face it, they'll probably all get turned into a Pret or a Greg's or a
Oh, give me a Greg's.
shop. So what do we actually do here? Other countries are facing similar issues but are actually doing something about it. Germany, for example, unsurprisingly, decided to take the concept of fun really, really seriously and classify nightclubs as cultural institutions on the same level as opera houses and museums.
Sorry?
And in Berlin, they're all given 50,000 euros to help soundproofing to avoid any arguments with their neighbours. I know it's hard to sort of equate nightclub culture in Germany with the UK, but I guess the equivalent here would be giving each nightclub 50k to help get sick out of the carpets and classifying the Welly in Hull on level footing with the Royal Albert Hall. It's sort of hard to equate the two, really. People will queue for hours to get into Bernheim, meticulously planning an outfit to fit the vibe. And if they get rejected, it's an accepted failure. It's part of the law. But if I got rejected from snobs in Birmingham, I think the humiliation would cause the next 6 generations of my family intergenerational trauma. Another massive thing they've done in Germany, though, is reducing their VAT from 19% down to 7%. In the UK, it is 20%. France also subsidises for nightclubs. The Netherlands introduced 24
That's
hour
interesting.
licenses. Basically, all the major European countries realised they were
Are actually
failing
doing
and
something
made
about it.
real genuine change. That's not to say the UK isn't doing anything. We did appoint night czars in London and Manchester 10 years ago, which, by the way, Tsar is an insane
Sorry,
title to
yeah.
have the big 26. But maybe naming someone after a supreme Eastern European ruler is probably the only way they can convince someone to be a middleman between these people and these people. But despite these Slavic monarchs coming into power, 58% of nightclubs blame a lack of government support for their struggles.
It's got no. I genuinely don't think that's got anything to do with it.
Out later, less stressed, less money driven. Well, we have to shut the pubs at 11 p.m, which I think often means you're either skipping the club entirely or facing an awkward wait until things feel a little less early, by which point you're probably getting hungover in the queue. Here in the UK, we also work more hours than people in France, Germany, and the Netherlands, so we have to get up earlier anyway. The only major Western country to really see a rise in nightclub performance is actually the US. The industry over there has actually grown by about 1% every year since COVID. And look, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the club scene in the USA. The last time I was out there, I spent my time eating horrific amounts of fried seafood. And
Hell
was
yeah, man.
tucked into my bed by 8 p.m. due to
Heck
jet
yeah.
lag. But I think this rise in like the kind of nightclub industry in America is probably due to the fact that Americans just love to flex. Clubs can up their prices.
I mean, yeah,
and
true. The
people are
VIP
seemingly
sections in US clubs is fucking mental. People love that shit. Love showing off. Love splashing their money and being Big Bollocks for 5 hours whilst they're in a club. But again, when I was in Miami, I'm sure Well, there's some guy there that hired like the entire VIP section to himself and let people in that he wanted. Obviously, only women were allowed in. But genuinely reckon he spent about 25 grand that night on that area for like 5 hours. Fucking ridiculous, bro.
Happy to pay them. The high price tag is basically the thing that they're buying. They don't care about the tasting notes of an ace of spades with a sparkler in. They just want to be able to say they spent a few grand on a table in a nightclub. They're literally burning money for the sake of it. That is the whole weird appeal. I know many people spend well above their means in the UK, but the difference is generally people get mocked for doing so. And also we earn less money over here. What's over there? Jeff fucking Bezos is going for the Ibiza sparklers treatment. He's literally a set of veneers and a Supreme Tan sponsored girlfriend away from running O Beach. People just love to be seen to have money over there. Even the guy who's like,
Jesus Christ.
Richest man in
This
the
video
world.
has turned into something else now, isn't it?
With sparklers in his drink, and that is probably the only thing keeping these luxury nightclubs alive. So look, I don't think it's just as simple as one thing, but people are drinking later. Things are more expensive for both the consumer
big time.
and the club. People are less interested in getting jaundiced. The government isn't really helping. We're not culturally built for overspending and late nights anymore. And maybe we're also just needing clubs.
Again, I don't necessarily think it's the government aren't helping. I think it's, I mean, that suggests that there's genuine need for a nightclub to be helped, whereas the government just, I mean, I guess indirectly they're not helping, but I just don't think nightclubs are important or like an importance to government policies realistically, and I don't think they should be realistically. I much prefer going to like not a speakeasy, but something that's like you can have some drinks, you chill out, there is a dance floor, but you just have a bit of a more relaxed time. I don't like a normal club, man. I'm so beyond it, but I am 29 this year. So maybe I am just unk.
A night out culture
maybe I am
to evolve beyond this.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't need to pause where I did. Well, there we go. Very interesting, though. I did enjoy that a lot. I love these kind of videos where it's just a bit informative and we learn something. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, please do make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.